The Church of Our Lady of Asinou. Our Lady of Asinou is one of the most important Byzantine churches in Cyprus. It is located in the province of Nicosia and is included in the list of UNESCO's World Heritage. The monastery was founded in 1099 and is made up of two parts, the main church and the narthex. The whole structure is only 15.6 by 6.2 meters. All the interior walls of the church are painted with frescoes, and they depict various biblical scenes from the Old and New Testament, as well as scenes from the lives of Jesus, the Virgin, and many saints. The church's wall paintings were executed at different periods and by different artists. Let's have a look at the inside of the church. Our Lady of Forviotissa praying with Christ in a medallion at her breast. The Communion of the Apostles. Saint John Chrysostom, Archbishop of Constantinople at the beginning of the 5th century. The Ascension of Christ, when the body of Jesus rose into heaven on the 40th day after his resurrection. The Annunciation of the Virgin, when the angel Gabriel revealed to Mary that she would conceive a child to be born as the Son of God. The Presentation of the Virgin in the Temple, 17th century. Mary's parents, Joachim and Anne, who had been childless, received a heavenly message that they would bear a child. In thanksgiving for the gift of their daughter, they brought her, when still a child, to the temple in Jerusalem to consecrate her to God. Mary remained in the temple until puberty, at which time she was assigned to Joseph as guardian. Saint Gregory of Nyssa, 17th century. The first Christian theologian to argue for the infinity of God. Christ Emmanuel in a chalice, 17th century. The Nativity of the Virgin, when Mary gave birth to Jesus. Saint Tychius, Bishop of Neapolis, now known as Limassol. Our Lady Pantanassa, Queen of all, standing with her hands raised in supplication between the archangels Michael and Gabriel. On the southern half of the central section of the arch, we see scenes of the life of Christ, such as the Nativity, the Presentation in the Temple, the Baptism of Jesus in the Jordan River, the Transfiguration in which Jesus is transfigured upon a mountain. He became radiant, spoke with Moses and Elijah, and was called Son by God. At the entrance, there is a portrait of the church's founder, Nicephorus, offering it to the Theotokos, who leads him to the enthroned Christ, who is flanked by angels. Patronal scene, Our Lady Prefocatrusa, holding the Holy Child between the archangels Michael and Gabriel. Saint George in the tale of George and the Dragon. On the southern half of the central section of the arch, we see scenes of the life of Christ, dating to the 14th century, the betrayal of Jesus by Judas, the way of the cross, the crucifixion, the entombment. The resurrection of Jesus 3 days after his entombment, 14th century. Saint Tryphon. Saints Constantine and Helen. Saints Theodosius the Abbot, Arsenius, and Ephraim of Syria. Saint Memnon. The 40 Holy Martyrs of Sebaste. According to Saint Basil, 40 soldiers who had openly confessed themselves Christians were condemned by the prefect to be exposed naked upon a frozen pond near Sebaste on a bitterly cold night, that they might freeze to death. Among the confessors, one yielded, and leaving his companions, sought the warm baths near the lake, which had been prepared for any who might prove inconstant. One of the guards set to keep watch over the martyrs beheld at this moment a supernatural brilliancy overshadowing them, and at once proclaimed himself a Christian, threw off his garments, and placed himself beside the 39 soldiers of Christ. Thus the number of 40 remains complete. At daybreak, the stiffened bodies of the confessors, which still showed signs of life, were burned and the ashes cast into a river. The Christians, however, collected the precious remains, and the relics were distributed throughout many cities. In this way, the veneration paid to the 40 martyrs became widespread, and numerous churches were erected in their honor. The entry into Jerusalem. The Lord's Supper, the final meal that Jesus Christ shared with his disciples before his arrest and eventually crucifixion, when he gave them bread saying, "This is my body," and wine saying, "This is my blood." The Dormition of the Theotokos, which commemorates the falling asleep or death of the Theotokos, Mary, the mother of Jesus. Saint George, early 13th century. Our Lady Brephocratusa, holding the Holy Child. Scenes from the Second Coming, the anticipated return of Jesus from heaven to earth. Saints and Benefactors, early 13th century. Choir of Saints, detail from the Second Coming. Personifications of the land and the sea paradise.
Scenes from heaven with seraphims protecting the gates of heaven.
Punishments of the damned. The gnashing of the teeth. Saint George Macaromenos. Saint Anastasia Pharmacolitria, the healer, with the benefactress Anastasia Saramalina. Saint Sozomen. The carved wooden sanctuary screen, 16th century. Christ the Pantocrator. All those paintings and frescoes make the Asinou Church a visual Bible in itself. As Timothy Ware said, the tradition of the Orthodox Church is expressed not only through words, not only through the actions and gestures used in worship, but also through art.